What is going on, guys? This is the Club of the Man 1993. After a couple of retirement videos, we are going to take a breather from retirement videos for a second, and we're going to talk about some managerial news with Major League Baseball. There have been a few managers who were fired, not too many noteworthy. Some, that was a little noteworthy that we will talk about. There have been some who got the interim tag taken off of them, such as the Angels signing Phil Nevin to a one-year deal as manager, since he took over for Joe Maddon as Angels manager earlier this season. And of course, also the Phillies have recently announced that Rich Thompson is getting the interim tag taken off of him, and he is signed to a 2-year extension as Phillies manager. Which, of course, if you're getting to the NLCS, why wouldn't you after the position you were in when he took over? But we are going to talk about a manager who I did not realize had been with the Marlins for 7 years. Longer than he was with the Dodgers. I was definitely very surprised by that. But back on September 25th, the Marlins and Don Mattingly agreed to mutually part ways, and that 2022 was his final season as the Marlins manager. The team released a statement from chairman and principal owner Bruce Sherman, who had bought the Marlins in 2017 with Derek Jeter. Jeter recently, though, did step away from being part owner of the Marlins. And then he said, "We are fortunate to have had Don Mattingly lead our team on the field over the last 7 years. He has represented the Marlins, our players, our fans, and the South Florida community with unmatched dignity and pride. Over the course of our recent conversations with Don, we both agreed not to pursue a new contract for the 2023 season, and at the time is right for a new voice to lead our clubhouse. He will depart with the most wins and most games managed in franchise history," which again, I did not realize that. "And we are proud of Don's many accomplishments, including," now the website got this wrong, but it should be saying including winning the National League Manager of the Year in 2020. It has listed as 2022. That's a misprint. When he guided the Marlins to the postseason after a 16-year absence. And that's when they were doing some different wild card setup thing for the playoffs, since of course the shortened 2020 season. The Marlins won one of the wild cards, going 31-29 in the shortened 2020 season. Of course, Mattingly released a statement as well, saying, "Today I'm announcing that I will not be seeking a contract extension with the Miami Marlins. After a meeting with Mr. Sherman discussing with Kim Ng, all parties agreed that it was time for a new voice in the organization. I am proud and honored to have served as manager for the Marlins for the past 7 years." Again, I still can't believe it's been that long. Well, then again, I should have thought back to a big emotional moment in his managerial career, which we'll talk about that and how that's really impacted the Marlins over the past several years. Because there was one point 6 years ago, of course, you probably all know who I'm talking about now. The Marlins had a team. They had a team, and yes, they just came short of a winning season that year, but they had a team that they could have built on, definitely, if it wasn't for one tragedy. Of course, he is proud and honored to serve as a Marlins manager for the past 7 years and have enjoyed his experiences and relationships he's developed within the organization. He looks forward to spending time with his family and to any future endeavors. So will he manage again? I don't know. He is 61 years old. He had his first taste of managing with the Dodgers only from 2011 to 2015. Again, I did not realize he wasn't the Dodgers manager that long. I thought he was there a lot longer than that. But before coming to the Marlins before the 2016 season. And again, a lot has changed, as Mattingly's first 2 seasons in 2016, they finished with a record of 79-82, and then 77-85 in 2017. And after the end of the 2017 season, that's when Derek Jeter and Bruce Sherman bought the Marlins from Jeffrey Loria. And then it was time just to start from scratch. And let me say this right now. Let me mention these names first off. They traded away Giancarlo Stanton, who I believe went to the Yankees. Marcell Ozuna, who at the time went to the Cardinals. Christian Yelich went to the Milwaukee Brewers and had an MVP season the following year. or 2 years after that. I'm sorry. No, I'm sorry. For 2 years, he had MVP caliber seasons. The first year of the Brewers, he did win the MVP award. And then, of course, JT Realmuto 1 year later, who went to the Phillies. 4 key players the Marlins traded away right there. Let me tell you something. Out of those 4 players, at least Stanton and Yelich, I think, I've both listened to interviews, who both have said, if Jose Fernandez did not die back in 2016, they wouldn't have left. That was a key piece to that Marlins club that was on the rise. That the death of Jose Fernandez just screwed everything up for the Marlins. Because again, they were a team. I was a fan of that team back then. Again, like those core 3 in the outfield, one of the best outfields you had at the time. And like Realmuto and then Jose Fernandez, they had a few other veterans there. They had D Gordon also too. Remember D Gordon was there too. They had Ichiro kind of like complimenting them at the time, which was pretty cool. But they had him there, and then losing that big piece to the puzzle just screwed it all up. Like, Don Mattingly was setting the Marlins in the right direction, and then they started from scratch again. And I know Marlins had been a team that had been a seller's team, and seems like just like another farm league team in the major leagues, but they had a team back then. With those trades, of course, that led to them, falling off in the league, a couple stretches, finishing last in the National League East in 2018 and 2019. And of course, when in a shortened 2020 season, they finished 31-29, which led them to get into the postseason for the first time in 16 years, and Mattingly winning the National League Manager of the Year. Then they went back down to the same thing the past 2 seasons. 67-95 last year, and they finished not too far off that this year as well. Through, of course, those trades, so the Marlins have landed some players, such as Sandy Alcantara, who had a very, very great season this past year, Zach Gallen, Daniel Castro, Lewis Brinson, Monty Harrison, Isandai Diaz, Sixto Sanchez, and Jorge Alfaro, who very few of those have had success. Even this past year, they brought in veterans like Avisail Garcia, Jorge Soler, Jacob Stallings, and Joey Wendell, but most of them had injury-plagued seasons. And, of course, it just hurt the rebuilding again. Mattingly actually, at the time this article was released, had a record of 437 and 583 while leading the Marlins. Again, he's journeyed through a bunch of different talents. The Marlins, of course, will be one of the several teams heading into the offseason looking for new managers. They're looking for a new manager. The Blue Jays, Phillies and Rangers no longer. And the Rangers. Royals as well, because they did fire Mike Matheny, from what I can think of right now. That was an announcement the day of this article. So, yeah, like I said, Don Mattingly is a great manager. I give him the credit. I mean, I am definitely still surprised to hear that he wasn't with the Dodgers as long as I thought he was. Yeah, he definitely was a successful manager with the Marlins. And like I keep saying, I always think back for the Marlins, 2016 was the year that they were knocking on the door. And then, like everybody says, and again, Yelich has said it, Stanton has said it. If they would not have lost Jose Fernandez in 2016, then they probably still would have been there. I don't know how much longer they would have stayed, but I'm sure that they could have been long-term, and the Marlins could have been a very interesting team. I mean, yes, we have the Braves, who have really, stacked up in talent. The Phillies are up there as well. The Nationals were great at the time. Now they're back down at the basement again. And the Mets are just inconsistent for what it is and whatnot. So the Marlins could easily, I think, could contend in this division. But, of course, we'll see who it is next. Maybe the Marlins bring back Joe Girardi, who was skipper for them for 1 year, and then he left. And that 1 year, they only went 78 and 84 or whatnot, but yet they still gave Girardi Manager of the Year. But, we'll see where Mattingly ends up next. Again, he could end up in a couple of those clubs that are just searching for new managers. We'll have to wait and see. Or maybe his years as managing are done. He's 61 years old, but he still may be able to go. We'll have to wait and see, though. But yeah, I definitely think he was successful as a manager. I definitely could have gotten a few, more playoff appearances because, like I said, they had the team there. But, hopefully someday we'll see what Marlins get up there as well. But that's my thoughts, guys, on Don Mattingly and the Marlins agreeing to mutually part ways. And Marlins will be in search of a new manager for 2023. What are your guys' thoughts on this as well? Do you guys also agree that if the Marlins did not lose Jose Fernandez to that tragedy in 2016, they would have been contending a little bit more? Make sure to leave your guys' thoughts down in the comment section below. Be sure as always to slap a like on the video, subscribe for more content on my channel, and follow me on Twitter as well at DemandAirboy93. And until then, guys, I'm checking out. I'll catch you later. Please stay tuned as always for some more baseball news. Have a great rest of your night. Peace out, everybody.